So welcome everybody to the Martin E. Segal Theater Center here at the Graduate Center CUNY. My name is Frank Henschler. I'm the director of the Segal Center, and this is a wonderful evening, also a bit melancholic one. It's the last of our season. We had truly an outstanding one. We started with Prelude, and we had presentations from China, Argentina, about choreography of African American choreographers and diaspora, and many, many others, as you see in our brochure. And it's always good to have a good beginning and a good ending of whatever you do, even in theater. So sometimes you get away with stuff in between. You keep it a bit mysterious, but this has to be good. And tonight, I think, is one of the great evenings also of this season. We have, again, with us here, our great Italian Playwrights project that also won a big award. Maybe Valeria will say a little bit. She came here to New York on her own and had this idea to really reestablish communication, a bridge between two countries that are big theater countries, but it had been a little bit, as I would say, in the sailing there was no wind, and the ship didn't advance, and if at all, the wind came from the wrong side and went backwards. There has been lots of exchanges. We have Jane House here, a translator who did a lot also in between. There are small festivals, but on that scale, really nothing, and people in America thought perhaps there is nothing really happened after Pirandello. We all know it's not true. You might all be laughing, but that is it. Often when we have international guests, they think nothing has happened after Tennessee Williams or Arthur Miller, because people don't know American writers also outside. But a lot has happened also here and is being shown and presented. So it's a big, big honor for us again to be involved in this project. It's been very successful, very significant. And someone in Italy told me, it was La Mama that invited us all and had people come over. Now it's actually you guys. And I said, I don't think so. We are a small university, with a tiny staff, but still it has a real significance. And one of the manifestations is that we have a playwright with us here from Italy who flew in, arrived yesterday, Elisa. So baby, say a quick hello. So we really want to thank you for coming. She was part of the second edition, and is part also of our publication, which we celebrate tonight. We will see that more. This book just came out, and we are very, very proud of this. We're one of the very few academic publishing houses that do print plays from around the world, even so nobody buys them. Once they're out, there's a PDF online, and everything is gone, so it's no longer what it used to be, but we think it's significant, it's important that plays get printed, that they are there, but of course that they're also available and being sent around. We know that's the way how it is, but we take pride in that, and the Italian plays that we had here in this edition were very significant and had also, I think, big impact. The Lehman trilogy, the book, at least it was done here at first, we were really proud of that. And many others. So tonight we will hear a full reading of the play as a celebration also of our Italian playwright project. Again, we were thrilled that we got that big recognition in Italy for the work. And we really would also like to thank Graziano for coming over. Again, he was here once or two times before. He's a great worker of the theater, a producer in Italy. Who started a theater in Rome that was very, very influential, and now is a writer, a critic, and also sits on juries for panels. Also a filmmaker. He did Pina Bausch documentary, which we showed here, a very interesting one of Pina Bausch in Italy. So it's great to welcome you. Came today or yesterday?
Yesterday.
Yesterday. And we came together. So welcome and for taking the time. So Right Tre, where you are affiliated with, is also a media partner of us. So we thank Right Tre. But there's one partner we really need to say. Of course, it's obvious, and people always think, you know, who helps us and who does it and this and that. But the Italian Cultural Institute in New York really has very early on a very strong and significant supporter. We could not have done it without it. Giorgio van Straten was there in the very beginning, and then now we have with us Paolo Baclera, did I say it right? And who is here with us, who is the director, and with him is Marlina Manarino. So thank you for both for coming, and they also really have continued work. And if they would have been earlier here, they would have also supported us. I think they really have been enthusiastic supporters. We also had a reading, which we produced together at the Italian Cultural Institute, and I think it's an example how institutions can work together, but they also really help us for support, for printing, for designing, for paying translators. And we really don't take it for granted because we work with a lot of cultural institutes, but the Italian Cultural Institute really has made a significant contribution. And one of the reasons that we have the books and that we have that support and that it became so successful is really also your contribution. So I would like to say thank you, but still also give back the word to Valeria, who really came here with that idea. And you all know New York and the New York City landscape, to come from the outside and say, I want to do readings, I want to bring plays over, I want to bring translators to the work, pay them. It's close to the impossible. It's work in the shadows, it's often not paid, and you need a vision, but you also need tenacity, and you really have deep belief that is of significance, and I think Valeria really had that. And I also really would like to say thank you in the name of the Segal Theater Center, Graduate Center CUNY, and also the city of New York, and the American theater landscape, which has noticed that there are plays from Italy out there that are of significance, and it's really because of you. People think it's about institutions, which in a way is true, but still it's also about the people who make something happen. So I really would like to say our respect, and I give you now the microphone. The last thing is, if you have a cell phone, take it out. I'll do the same. Ringer off, volume off, sound off. Mine is the Segal Center bridges academia and professional theater, international and American theater, and of course an event like this is right in the middle. It shouldn't be longer than 80 minutes. The reading is about 30, 40 minutes, and it will be followed by panel discussion, and then we will have a discussion with you or for questions. Graziano will join us, and we will talk a little bit about the current situation in Italy. So again, really thank you for coming. I know there were 3 emergency emails and phone calls and alerts not to go out tonight. It's a terrible rain or snow. I didn't fully see it, but thank you really for coming. A lot of people didn't come who said they would come because of it. So again, thank you for your help, and Valeria.
I am the worst person to speak in public, so I love to be on the backstage, so have patience to listen to me. But thank you to Frank and the Martin Segal Theater Center. This is a project and mostly a challenge, a very big challenge. We in Italy say dal basso, we can say from the bottom, because when this project starts from zero at all. Then we started to a new dialogue with the institution, and it is not easy to speak about contemporary culture, Italian contemporary culture. We have a lot of culture to speak about in Italy, so everybody's right in the right way, focused in Leonardo, Dante, and everything is the best of our culture, of course. But we have also a situation now, during this time, that is very important to be well known outside Italy too. So it's a good point to start a dialogue. And I am here, and my dialogue starts here. So the first person was Frank to listen my my desire, so my target. And now, after 4 years, this little project that was started from zero is little by little went in other cities, in other countries. So we went in London, we went in Chicago, we started a good dialogue with UPenn, and then NYU, and then Muhlenberg College that dedicate one semester to this project for the students. And I'm so surprised, but also a little bit confused, but now we are closing the second edition, so we translated 8 plays with involving 10 authors, many translators. We had a lot of to learn during these 4 years, and now we are a little bit more than zero, a little bit, but we have also a lot of friends, and this is a very warm wrap for us. So this is what I say, and I want to just to present the actors now that they will have the reading for, they will read for us the Event Horizon by Elisa Casseri, translated by Adriana Rossetto. That she is one of our translators. She's not here today, but she is here in the soul. And directed by Marco Calvani. Event Horizon crew, please come. We will present it after during the panel. Okay.
Event Horizon, written by Elisa Casseri, translated by Adriana Rossetto. An empty room, a studio, no windows. On the left wall, there's a small sink and a kitchenette. On the right wall, the entrance door, no doorknob. On the front wall, there are many doors and cabinet doors in all shapes and colors. They hang crooked or straight in a confusing installation of exits. Only one door is properly functional, and that's the bathroom door. There's no furniture, none. The room will be furnished and modified throughout the play. Olga paces around the room. She rubs her eyes, weeps. She's very upset. She tries to open the entry door, but no success. She goes into the bathroom, comes out, goes in, comes out. She keeps pacing.
Where? I would like to know where and how. How does this work? It's really not possible. It's incomprehensible. How did I get stuck in here? And why? Why? This room is empty. It wasn't empty. I know it. I know this room. Marco! Where are you? Are you hiding? Are you making fun of me? This isn't funny. This can't happen. These sorts of things can't happen. This can't be true.
Olga sits on the floor, facing the walls of the doors.
You know, once I read that you can understand if you're dreaming, I think you have to look and watch twice or in a row, or read a sign twice in a row, and the letters would be different, or the hands wouldn't move, and because there's no time and space continuum in the world of dreams. But here I have no watch, and not even a word to read, and maybe I could try flying or levitating. If I succeed, this would clearly be a dream. What am I doing? Of course I'm not dreaming. Out! Okay, Olga. Relax. Okay, you came in from there, you will go out from there.
Olga stands up and tries to open one of the strangest doors, the biggest one. It opens. She climbs up towards it and crawls in. She comes out of the bathroom door.
How does this work? Do I really have to guess which one is the right door? Marco, please help me.
She starts counting.
I need a counting rhyme, that's what I need, okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a fish alive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then I let it go again. Why did you let him go? Because he pinched my finger so. Which finger did he bite? This little finger on the right.
She goes out one of the doors.
Look, I changed the light bulb. Olga? Where the hell did you go?
Olga comes back from the entrance door, and when she sees Marco, she runs towards him. The entrance door slams behind her.
God, Marco, there you are, finally! Oh, shit, I let the door slam. Listen, Marco, we're stuck. Okay, we're stuck in this place, and I'm doomed to go around in circles in rooms that are infinitely the same as this one.
Hey, what's the matter? What do you mean? Stop making up these crazy stories. Look, I just changed the light bulb in the bathroom. Aren't you proud of me?
I don't know how to tell you what I'm about to tell you.
You're breaking up with me again? Look, I know you're going through a rough time, Olga, but this is not the way. Trust me, it's gonna get better.
Listen to me, okay? I am stuck in this room. We are now stuck here, and there's no way out. Okay, the entry door, it's not working.
Well, of course it doesn't open. The doorknob fell off, but I promise I'll fix it. The knob is in the sink, so you can just put it back on any time, and the door will open. Look, I know this house is sad. You don't have to remind me, but I think it's great my grandmother left it to me. It's my home, you know? My home. And yours. It's our home. What's wrong? You want to leave?
You don't understand, okay? And that's fair because what's happening to me is absurd. I can't understand it myself. Those doors on the wall are some sort of passage. Like any door I open brings me right back here to the same room.
Sit down.
No.
Please sit down on the chair. I know you hate this situation, but things will work out, I promise you. We'll fix everything.
Marco, listen to me.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Olga. Happy birthday to you. Yay!
From one of the doors, Julia and Franco, Olga's parents, enter with the cake topped with a tin birthday candle. They sing with Marco. Julia sings with a feeble voice, and Franco snaps his finger to the beat. This isn't exactly easy for him.
Happy birthday!
You're in double digits. You're a big girl now.
Happy birthday, darling.
Congrats!
Marco, this is my mother. Do you understand that this is impossible, right? I want it to be possible, but it's not. You look how young my parents are.
What's impossible?
Today is my birthday, and clearly I am not 10.
In a corner of the house, Olga's parents start arguing amongst themselves, quite intensely.
Yes, you are, and I want that cake. Is that chocolate? I hope there's not fruit in it.
Can't you see that we're grown-ups? We're 30 years old, and that's my mother. I have breasts, your armpits have hair. Just come on, look.
You know what, Olga? I don't know if I want to be your boyfriend anymore. You're so weird. Why do you say all these things? And then you don't even have titties.
Instinctively, Olga touches her breast. Marco pushes her and she falls.
Olga, don't hurt yourself.
We didn't know each other as kids. Do you remember? What's happening? What the hell is going on?
The other kids are playing dodgeball. Come on, hurry up. Come on.
Marco goes out, but Olga doesn't follow him. She turns to look at her parents. She starts off in their direction, but they squeeze closer together.
Okay, don't freak out. You're 30 years old. Your mother went away when you were a young girl. And your dad is older than this. This is a dream, a nightmare, something. Okay, you have to focus. You have to figure out how you ended up here. Okay, what was I doing? Where was I? What happened to this room? What twisted onto itself? What are these doors?
Julia slaps Franco and goes into the bathroom.
Daddy.
Olga, go play with the other kids. Julia, we can't go on like this, pretending like nothing is happening. It's not good for Olga. It's not good for anybody. You need to understand what you want from life. I know very well what I want from mine.
No response from inside the bathroom. Olga goes to the kitchenette sink and leans on it with both hands. Sees the doorknob and picks it up. Sees the door, but the doorknob that Marco had fixed on the door before is still there.
And so this is how you leave. The moment has come for us to part ways. I'm sure that you...
Dad, are you okay?
Olga, you're here. I'm good. Yes,
You have to help me. I have a huge problem. I need to understand what's going on, and maybe you're the only one
That's not as bad as you think. You're going to move to another city. You're going to meet other people. You'll go to college. And as I remember, you're about to live one of the happiest times of your life. Not to say that the years here weren't amazing, but you know, your mother doesn't go well. Well, don't be scared. Be excited.
Did you see these doors?
Doors!
I don't understand how, but...
Doors! Sweetie, don't be scared of anything. Don't throw yourself towards solutions. Don't save time. Let me give you some advice. Waste time. Waste as much time as you can. Don't try to find the shortest way towards what you think is right. Don't try to find linear solutions. Explore. Go off the beaten path. And you ask yourself if there's something else you want. I'm not saying to put yourself in danger.
But don't play it safe all the
But
time.
don't play it safe either.
I remember this conversation very well.
And you don't always have to be first. I mean, I did nothing but be first my whole life, and look where I am now. Graduated first, I married first, first one to have a kid, first one to turn out to be alone. Now, just a couple of days ago, I was thinking that the greatest measure of time is the second. You understand? It's a second. Huh? It's all good.
Try to be...
Try to be second.
Now
You
you
have
have
to go.
Wait, Dad, I need to ask you something. But maybe if I say it in a crazier way, you'll answer. Where does time flow? Where in the water pipes, in the tension cables, in the cracks in between the hardwood floor? Is there a chance to catch it and stop it? Like being stuck in a hallway with your whole life at your fingertips, but you can't do anything about it, and you don't know why?
Olga, you have to go.
If it's me who has to go, why are you leaving? Like, stop, Dad. Stop. Try to help me. Just give me a hand, please. What's happening to me?
Olga, you're a big girl now.
Olga takes the cake, sticks her finger in it and tastes it, and then runs to spit it in the sink.
Ugh! Gross. Well, it was a 9-year-old cake after all.
Marco enters. He's carrying a table.
Do you like it?
Did you win it at the dodgeball competition?
No, they dumped it, but it's in perfect condition, don't you think?
Now, this is where I gave him a scared look and I asked him if he got it out of the dumpster. Did you take it out of a dumpster?
Yeah, but now I'll clean it.
I can't fake this. You don't remember it, right?
Don't remember what?
That a second ago we were celebrating my 10th birthday with my parents? You left to go play dodgeball, and now you're back with a table that you picked up from the dumpster?
Olga, if you don't like the table, I can take it back. There's no need to say those things and get so upset.
Oh, God! I think I'm in a space-time loop, or if that's what you call it. Like, I'm using words that my dad, I overheard him saying, like, over the years when he was trying to teach me some very interesting things about physics. You sang happy birthday to me, and then you left, and my mom went away, and my dad gave me the speech he had prepared for when I went to college.
Your mom? Your mother?
Help me! I can't get out of this!
Don't be like that, Olga. You're scaring me. Look, I like you a lot, but right now a little out of your mind, and I don't think I can stand much more madness. You know, my family
I
deals
know
with
that very well, Marco. I'm sorry.
What do you mean you know? I've never told you anything about that.
Of course you told me.
I'm pretty sure I haven't.
Okay, we've been together for 7 years. You must have found a moment to tell me in all of these years.
Actually, we met 2 weeks ago. Listen, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have brought you this table. I knew that it was going to be too much too soon, and if you really want to know, I didn't find it in the dumpster. I bought it for you because you told me the desk your dad sent you never arrived, and you didn't want to ask him for more money to buy another one since he's really busy, and the fact that the post office lost your desk would have hurt him, so I just thought that this would be something nice to do. You know, I like you, Olga, really, but...
I'm sorry. You're right. Thank you so much. I really love this desk.
You can keep it. It's yours. Now, I'm sorry, but I have to go.
Olga starts eating the cake.
It didn't go this way at that time. After he gave me the desk, he kissed me and he didn't leave. Oh my God. Oh, what if I'm changing things? What if I'm shuffling things in my life? What if I'm really traveling through time? Could it be that I just created a parallel life in which Marco isn't here anymore? I scared him away. I lost him. I always scare him. I always lose him. I always scare everybody away, but why do I even try?
Olga seems disgusted by the cake, but keeps at it for a while. Eventually she gets up, opens one of the smallest cabinet doors and puts the cake in there, goes back to the table, rethinks it, and immediately goes back to reopen the cabinet door, but the cake is no longer there. She opens it once again, but nothing is there. Julia appears from the bathroom door holding a phone in one hand, and in the other a long phone cable that starts from who knows where.
I'm sorry. I stopped talking because I heard the door slam and I thought Franco had come back. But it must be my imagination because no one's here.
Mom.
What was I talking about? Oh, right. Franco is really sad that I can't get pregnant. Well, of course I'm not happy about it, believe me, but I don't think it's a tragedy. Sooner or later it'll happen. Of course it'll happen. Well, neither one of us have any major medical problems, so yeah. So now he thinks that's because I don't want to be a mother, that I've been taking the pill behind his back, and to be fair, I've always said it wasn't my thing.
Mom, I'm here. Can't you see me? Like, you'll be able to have a daughter eventually. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you know how Franco is, don't you? He's got his own way of seeing things. The right time, the right way, the right measure.
You left before I had my first period, and I didn't know how to talk with Dad about it when it happened. I had watched all those movies with those awkward dads and those sad scenes. Only your mother were here. So I decided not to tell him. And I asked my friends for pads, or I'd buy them with my allowance and hide them. And then one day, 5 months after my first period, I stayed on the couch. And he very calmly just walked over to the cabinet door and gave me these bags and bags of pads. He was prepared. And he gave me this beautiful speech. As only he knew how. And as he talked, I smiled. And I thought that those movies really sucked. And that I wouldn't miss you at all. But I missed you. A lot. God. How I've missed you.
Well, you know, I love you too. I love you very much. But we're too far apart. You married that woman and I married Franco. Maybe we shouldn't have kept in touch. Yeah, we're back in town for Christmas and we're spending the holidays with my relatives. Will you be there? Of course you'll be there, but how can I? How can you ask me to meet you?
Julia goes back to the bathroom. Olga covers her eyes with her hands, spins around a couple of times, and then walks tentatively toward the wall full of doors. When she touches the wall, she uncovers her eyes, takes a deep breath, and exits from the door she landed on. She and Marco re-enter from the main door. He's the one covering her eyes now.
Okay, don't cheat. I'm gonna uncover your eyes with my hands, but then keep them closed, okay?
Okay.
You'll open your eyes and you'll see a place you know already with a wall that makes you a little uneasy, actually. All right, let's just say it's a wall that you hate. Well, right now you know exactly where you are, but I'm not really good at surprises, you know that, but I've been able to keep this secret and not tell you anything all this time. I know you hate secrets, but you won't hate this one.
All right, I'm listening. Should I keep my eyes closed?
No, you can open them now. What? You don't have anything to say? But my house would be completely empty if it wasn't for your desk and...
Marco goes out the door and comes back with the love seat and a couple of boxes on top of it.
For the couch I bought you.
I don't understand.
Let's sit on the couch.
Let's sit as in calm down, or like let's hang out?
What? Are you kidding? God, I guess I was starting to worry.
About what?
About how you're doing? You know, in relation to what happened. But I have to tell you something important, and I can't keep it to myself anymore.
Well, let's not sit then.
I got accepted to the PhD program in Paris.
You're kidding!
No!
Oh my god! Oh.
Come on, Olga, let's not do this.
What do you mean, let's not do this?
We said we weren't gonna, this wasn't gonna happen anymore. I mean, you know, I have a girlfriend and now we're about to leave for Paris together.
Olga attempts to open a door in the wall, but the door doesn't open. She persists and tries to open another one. Nothing. She goes out the main door, slams it shut, and then she comes back and finds everything as she left it.
What the hell are you doing?
Marco, am I crazy?
Yeah, a little.
No, is this real? How many years have we known each other? Why are we not together?
Of course this is real. Yesterday we had lunch, today we're here. Tomorrow we could do anything. We've known each other for 7 years, Olga. We tried to be in a relationship, but we couldn't make it happen. We tried all those years, then, I mean, I guess at a certain point I met Carla, and now you started to see this guy, Alessio? He's the first guy you told me about, so it must be important, I think.
Carla, Alessio, who are these people?
Come on, Olga, you know these people. You know those doors on the wall? The doors you hate and tried to destroy so many times? Yeah, those are Carla's doors. I mean, I actually think she's a pretty good artist.
Oh, shut up.
Alessio was one of your dad's assistants at the university. Come on. You met him a few days after the funeral.
Whose
On
funeral?
the phone, I think.
Whose funeral?
Your dad's funeral.
My dad's funeral. You mean my dad died?
Olga, I knew that me moving to Paris was gonna crush you. It's been 6 weeks since your dad's passing, and I can't even imagine how lonely and desperate you must be feeling. And maybe I'm very selfish to be asking you this, but could you try to just be happy for me? I mean, for once, separately from all of your pain?
But I am happy for you, Marco, though. You see, I don't remember my father passing away. I saw him a few hours ago. Look, I think that day, that if on that day that you gave me the desk, I hadn't gone crazy, maybe now we'd be together. Maybe now things would be the way they are. Wouldn't be the way they are. Maybe my dad wouldn't be dead. This is all my fault. This is a weird game that I'm stuck in, this puzzle. It's a nightmare.
Olga, I fell in love with you on that date because you seemed a little crazy. You know what you mean to me.
No, I don't know. At this point, I don't know anything anymore.
Olga.
The only thing that I know is that I love you. You're my whole life, Marco. You're my best friend. You're the one that takes care of me and the one I take care of. In Paris, I gave up that low-paid internship because we were supposed to move there together.
Okay, I'm really starting to worry now. You didn't give up that internship. You're doing it now. And you're not doing it well. You're doing it with 1,000 leaves of absence and with very little motivation and no desire to enter the real estate market. And I get it, but it was your only opportunity at the time. And you're underpaid, yes, and that's why I took your things here to tell you that. Since I'm leaving, you can stay at my place. You can live here so that you don't have to pay your rent. I mean, have you lost your memory maybe? Or were you in an accident? Did you fall? I mean, let's see, what happened? I mean, I assure you this is real.
Marco, I'm very tired.
Listen to me, I will never love anyone as much as I love you, and you know it. But I had to give up on us. And you did too. I mean, you didn't want to be with me. You broke up with me a million times. We're not capable of being together.
Maybe I should take a nap.
Stay here. Do it on the couch. I'll help you pull out the bed. I have 1,000 things to take care of before I leave. I'll spend the night at Carla's place.
Olga and Marco pull out the bed. Then Olga lays down on the bed and closes her eyes. Marco turns off the lights and leaves. One of the doors on the wall opens and Franco comes out with the lamp. He plugs it in and turns it on and starts talking to his daughter even though she's asleep.
I lost count of the things I couldn't tell you. Some of them I just didn't have the time to explain to you. While others I told them without you wanting to hear them. Or maybe you really didn't hear them. When I told your mother that I knew everything about the man she loved and that I wanted her to leave, she left. I thought that choosing would have helped me to maintain control. Instead, from the moment she went away, I understood I wouldn't be able to control anything anymore. I prepared for some moments of your life, and I prepared myself to go through them with you, and everything went well. You grown, you studied what you wanted, you graduated, and now you're ready to live this strange world with all these grown-ups. And I, too, have moved on. I mean, I learned how to do things. I became myself again. I understood that if you build a wall around you, people really leave, and that we're not always worth the fight. And then yesterday I was walking to the university, and I saw her. She was in the courtyard with a young man wearing a graduation hat, a man that still is that man. I suppose the man I sent her to when I asked her to leave, the man that won the love of your mother when I decided to lose it. He must have rushed to get it. Of course, he was waiting for it. They laughed and laughed. And she was posing for a picture next to her son with a Prosecco bottle in her hands. And then she saw me.
Franco,
Julia,
how you doing?
Standing, like in blackjack.
And Olga?
What do you care? I raised her without your help.
Look, I don't want to fight. I just wanted to say hi. I saw you, and I thought that it was ridiculous not to say something.
That's great. But don't ask me about Olga.
Not a single day went by without me wanting to call her. But then days went by, and my life became something else. What do you want me to tell you? There's nothing I can say to make you believe that I really care, but I really...
You have a son. You have raised a son. For all this time, I thought I had basically forced you into motherhood, which I thought was what made our relationship explode. Instead, you had another kid. So it wasn't like you didn't want to become a mother. It's that...
Franco,
I'm going to be late for class.
I want to see Olga.
You're just saying that, just like that, just because you saw me.
I have been wanting to call her for a long
Oh,
time.
you could have called me. All right, the home number is still the same.
Don't be mean.
What, me? I'm not mean. Let's be clear, Julia. Olga is my daughter, not yours.
Julia exits.
Olga, do you know what a black hole is? Imagine a body, an object, a ball, a spot, something extremely dense with a gravitational force so strong that nothing can escape it, not even light. And your mother was always that for me, a gravitational singularity. She carved a black hole inside of there. Everything that went in there has never come back. This is how black holes work. They digest everything. They're called black because the lowest speed needed to escape them is greater than the speed of light. So light ceases its energy and gets swallowed in, and all that remains is darkness. You see, I see her again after all these years. As she celebrated with her family, why, she created a memory with them as devastated me. And I too fell in that black hole with my shoes at home. And I tripped and I fell. You forgive me, my dear. I can't do anything else but leave you.
Franco goes out the door from which he had entered, and we hear a gunshot. Olga awakes violently. She goes to turn on the main light and opens one of the boxes that Marco brought with the couch. She takes out some books, some papers, and a sweater. She takes an envelope, holds it in her hand, and brings it to her chest. Then she takes her phone and dials a number.
Hi. Can I bother you for a second? I wanted to apologize for yesterday. I don't know what happened to me. I was confused, but now I seem to remember everything. My dad wrote me a letter before killing himself, and I called the university and asked to speak with someone who spent time with him, and they gave me the number of this guy, Alessio, his assistant, who told me a lot of things. So I showed him a passage from the letter that my dad left me, a passage I didn't understand. Something about black holes, about space and time, about the space-time continuum really, and space and time together. And I got distracted a number of times, probably as a defense mechanism from all the darkness, to keep me from the cliff, from the gloom. And then he talked about another color. Then he talked about white holes. And he said that sometimes, something about symmetry and hypothesis and theoretical objects, but basically, if I understand it correctly, white holes are the counterpart to black holes. And with white holes, everything can come out and nothing goes in. And if they existed, we could think of a one-directional way, a space-time tunnel that connects the extreme black to the extreme white of the universe, and that allows traveling through time. And you enter a region of space and you come out from the other, from a black hole into a white hole, and then I understood.
Olga opens the door, finds Marco in front of her holding a phone to his ear.
I was on my way here.
My dad is a black hole that has digested me inside of him. And my mother is a white hole that spat me out far away from her. I could travel through time. I can't go to Paris with you. but maybe you can come with me.
Marco and Olga exit through the door.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Olga. Happy birthday to you. Yay.
Olga takes Marco's hand. She leads him into another door on the wall. Olga pushes Marco out from the door next to the one they entered. He grabs the chair. Olga goes out and enters from the entry door.
Look, I changed the light bulb. I just need to buy the couch.
Marco looks at the couch.
Wait a minute.
From one of the doors on the wall, Franco comes in with a letter in his hands.
And so this is how you leave. The moment has come for us to part ways. I'm sure that
Let's go.
Please let me hear it again.
No, Olga, let's go. It's too dangerous.
Marco drags Olga out from yet another door. Franco goes into the bathroom. When Olga and Marco come back in, no one is home.
Wait, it can't be. This can't exist. We're dreaming, or maybe you dropped a pill in something we drank.
What? Are you? You must be
I
kidding.
mean, what should I know? Yeah, what is this? When did it all start? Is this what you do to yourself? Is this what you do to me? Is this what I feel for you? This scraping, this exhausting, maddening feeling? I mean, is this the love you want?
Marco, look, it wasn't me. I'm not a witch doing and undoing things for my own entertainment, flying around on a broom preparing magic potions.
What is all this then?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
No.
Well, I know. This is not the life that I want. You can always go down, but you can't always take me down with you. It's not a matter of pain, Olga. You're really crazy.
Marco kicks the couch and then goes out, slamming the entry door again. Olga makes the bed, folds it back into the couch. She turns off the lamp and puts the chair in front of the wall with the doors.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Once I caught a fish alive. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I let it go again. Why did you let him go? 'Cause he bit my finger so.
The cell phone rings. After a search, she answers it.
Hello?
She hangs up but keeps her eyes on the phone. The phone rings again.
I hang up. You're calling again. What point of life are you calling me from, and why now? My dad died 6 weeks ago, they say. I don't think I want to see you. No. But unfortunately, I can't always decide what to do and what not to do. Lately, my life's spaces and times are very confused.
Olga hangs up and tries to open one of the doors from the wall. She can't. She tries another one. Nothing. The phone starts to ring again, but she doesn't answer. She punches the doors, starts crying, faces around. She looks in the box again, takes out a bag, sunglasses, puts them on before going out from the entry door. She turns off the light. The phone stops ringing. While the scene is dark, the wall of the doors is replaced with a similar wall, but without doors, except from the bathroom. There are many boxes and luggages in the scene now.
I'm sorry, just give me a second. The door doesn't work right.
Marco turns on the light and comes in with Julia, Olga's mother.
You're very sweet. Thank you so much for meeting me, for answering my calls.
Listen, to tell you the truth, I answered without knowing who was calling. Olga didn't have your phone number saved. When she disappeared, she left her phone here, and every day I hoped she'd call. I answered every single call.
Well, thank you for listening. Is this my daughter's home?
No, this is not Olga's home. I took her stuff here, but she disappeared over 3 weeks ago, and she hasn't paid rent in a couple months, so... I mean, you know what happened to her father. It devastated her.
I know. She only had him. That's the reason I thought that now that he's gone, that maybe she could use my help.
I'm sorry. I don't think that's how that works. Interchanging affections like that. I mean, you don't know the first thing about Olga.
Well, tell me then, what's the first thing?
No, I won't. Because of so many different and complex reasons involving Olga, her feelings, and mine. I mean, the reason I agreed to see you and made you come here is to see if you had anything to tell me or would like Olga to know for when she comes back.
I saw Franco the day before he killed himself. He's always been a real professional when it came down to making me miserable. But I have to say that killing himself, yeah, that takes the cake. There's nothing worse than that to make me feel horrible. And that's what he decided to do. Well, finally, I was able to find Olga's number. I had to lie here and there, and it took me a while to call her, but I don't have any bad intention. I just want to help her.
Look, I'm not insinuating that you have bad intentions. I'm just saying that, unfortunately, I can't decide for her.
Are you her boyfriend?
No, I'm not her boyfriend.
Okay. Let's do this. Tell her that I don't want to apologize. With her father, I didn't have a life I could call my own. I spoke with a voice that wasn't mine. I did things with a timing that wasn't mine. And in the end, it felt like I was forced into pretending every single day. Now, she was part of that whole setup. Truly, I would have never left if Franco hadn't found out. Or that's what I like to think. The day he told me he knew it all, I felt free. I felt like I had an opportunity to start over, and I took it.
Yeah, I'll tell her that.
No, I want you to tell her that she's not alone, that she has a brother and a mother, and that she can stay with us whenever she wants, that I'll give her everything she needs.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. Why are you laughing?
I want to tell you something about your daughter. All that Olga has ever done in her life was cultivating solitude, not because her father was absent or because she didn't find people that loved her dearly, like me, but because of the moment you left and never looked back, Olga was convinced that everybody would always abandon her. And you know something? She's right. You went away, her dad killed herself, I'm seeing someone else, and I'm about to leave for Paris.
I can't deny 20 years of my life. I can't disown my family. I'd go crazy. I'm sad, of course, but I have no regrets.
Okay.
Okay. Just one last thing. Shouldn't we report that she's missing? Shouldn't they look for her?
Marco's phone rings.
Are you here? Perfect. Don't worry. I know Olga, she's okay.
Marco opens the door and we see the top of a small wardrobe coming through the door. He pulls it in. Julia tries to help him.
Thank you. It's very heavy and I wouldn't have been able to move it myself.
I think it's better if I go. My train leaves in a bit. Can I leave this letter here for you for Olga?
Of course, you can put it on the table.
Julia pulls out a letter from her bag, puts it on the table, and leaves. Marco opens one of the boxes and starts to hang Olga's clothes in the wardrobe. Olga's phone rings.
Hi. Yeah, Alessio. Now I'm doing all right. I'm leaving tomorrow morning. No news on my side. You? I don't remember if I told her when I was leaving, but I just had this idea that today was the day that she'd come back. But I don't know, you know. Yeah, we'll see. Thanks, you too. Yeah, good luck to you too.
Marco closes the wardrobe doors. He crawls onto the couch and falls asleep. Olga comes in from the entry door, sees him. She looks around and starts to hang her things in the wardrobe. Marco wakes up.
Olga!
Hi.
It's so great you're okay. I'm so happy you came back.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to wake you.
No, you didn't wake me up. I don't really sleep. I haven't been able to sleep properly since you left. I mean, do you know how much you got me worried?
I needed time. Well, mostly I just needed to stop using the word time.
I know you don't owe me any apologies, but I can't pretend I wasn't, how can I say, distressed by your absence. I mean, you don't even take your phone with you.
I didn't need it.
Alessio's called every day. Your mother called too.
There's nothing between me and Alessio, nor will there ever be. Same for my mother.
Yeah, I know.
When do you leave?
Tomorrow morning. Actually, I think it's today already. This house with no windows always gets me very confused about the time of day.
I see you really decreased the amount of doors too.
Well, put it this way, Carla wanted them back. Things got a little complicated after you left.
I'm sorry. Or maybe not. Maybe I'm not sorry.
I told her that I'd rather leave for Paris by myself now, and she got really mad. She's much stronger than you when she's upset. I noticed that when she broke all the doors that you weren't able to smash.
Maybe I'm starting to like her, this Carla.
How can I leave?
Oh, Marco, just go.
You sure?
You know, I've read a lot these days, and I learned something. At the threshold of a black hole, there's a surface limit, and a region of space is called. Let me start that again. There's a region of space-time continuum that separates the place where you can still see this phenomenon from the place where you can't anymore. It's called event horizon, and basically it's the edge of the universe as we know it.
So you have to stay in the horizon, not to fall into the black hole.
Really, like every other horizon, it cannot be reached. It gets farther the more you get closer to it. It's like the future.
Well, we have time, Olga. Let's take some time.
Time doesn't exist. Maybe it never has.
What about us?
We'll love each other without loving each other, without being together, without windows, without doors, without furniture, without past, without future. Just love each other without anything.
Okay, but promise me you won't fall into any black holes, or white holes, or yellow, or cobalt blue, or sienna.
And don't you go out the main door. Go through the wardrobe, you'll travel much better.
Memories are just memories. Desires are just desires. They're not real anymore. Or they're not real yet. Remember that. Do it for me.
Marco puts on his backpack, kisses her, and leaves. Olga sits on the couch. Julia and Franco comes out from the bathroom door and sit down with her. Marco comes in from the wardrobe door with the cake. There's just one slice left. He sits on the chair and eats it. Everyone looks straight ahead, except for Olga, who looks at them one by one. Then she smiles. End of play.
Thank you, really, thank you so much. We're going to go right away to a panel discussion, and I hope you don't suffer too much from jet lag. Both of you, you're with us, yeah? Okay. And we'll put some chairs up here. Maybe you sit here next to it. Okay, so let's sit down. Okay, we might need one more mic for Marco. So first of all, how did it feel hearing your New York reading?
Scusate, io parlerò in italiano, non so chi...
We translate for
Yeah. Use it. You do.
no.
Come on. She said, I don't speak so well Italian. No, English, of course. Okay.
È sempre molto emozionante vedere il proprio testo in un'altra lingua.
It is always emotionally very turbulent and moving to hear your own work in a different language.
E è soprattutto molto emozionante vedere come scaturisce diverse emozioni a seconda della lingua in cui viene tradotto.
Yeah, so it's always very moving to see, how emotions get transferred, in a different language, and how actors react to it.
E quindi niente, sono molto contenta, infatti voglio ringraziare gli attori e Marco che sono stati bravissimi.
Tell us a little bit the idea for the play. When did you have the idea for the play?
Allora, sono stata ossessionata per un po' di anni dai buchi neri.
I was obsessed for a while by black holes.
E ho cercato di raccontare questa storia in molti altri modi. Quindi inizialmente volevo che fosse un racconto.
And I started to tell this story in many ways. And at the start I thought it was storytelling.
E a un certo punto era diventata invece una graphic novel in cui un bambino aveva dei buchi sotto le scarpe che erano buchi neri.
And at a certain point it became a graphic novel where a kid had black holes in his shoes.
E però niente riusciva a farmi raccontare la storia che volevo raccontare e mi tenevo lontana dal teatro perché mi faceva molto paura pensare di portarlo a teatro.
But nothing was close of the history I wanted to tell, so I also was far from theater because I was fair by theater.
E poi invece a un certo punto ho avuto questa immagine delle porte che erano appunto buchi neri e buchi bianchi attraverso i quali poter viaggiare nel tempo e ho capito che la forma che quella storia necessitava era il teatro.
And then finally I had this vision about doors that became black holes and white holes, and I totally understood that that was the way to tell my history by theater.
E alla fine questa storia, io non so come si può tradurre, spero che si possa tradurre, è una specie di viaggio spazio-temporale attraverso il dolore di una persona.
At the end, what I would express in my story was like a trip, emotional and
it's a time-space continuum of
inside the sentiments and
the
suffering of this person.
So, black holes, you are interested in a scientific way, or you see them as a sign what it represents? Are you scientifically engaged in your work, or?
Io ho una formazione scientifica e mi succede sempre che quando voglio raccontare una storia, quando una cosa mi colpisce non riesco, è come se l'avessi fisicamente dentro.
My background is scientific, so I have com'era?
È come se le storie fisicamente mi fossero dentro.
So it's like the stories I have to tell.
Inhabit me. I feel like
Habit inside.
E succede sempre che per il mio libro, non ci allarghiamo se no dico cose che non so, valvola di ritegno forse. Diciamo, succede che leggo qualcosa, mi viene uno studio, qualcosa e trovo la finestra che si apre per far uscire quella storia, ha sempre un vetro scientifico.
So there is always a scientific mirror in everything I think and everything I want to describe in my histories. So also when I write a book in breaks, she writes books more than than playwriting, more than plays. And something open like a window and in a scientific way.
Thank you. So I would like to ask Marco, As you talked about time, space, travel, at time, there was some time since she wrote it, it traveled over here. What did you, out of that black hole, how did you manage it? How does it feel for you, the energy, the horizon that you'll never touch? How did you feel you touched something in the play? Did it touch you?
I don't have a scientific background at all. For me, the play was really about the pain of this woman who was been abandoned twice by her mother and by her father, in both dramatic ways. So it was about a person who really was suffering, and she was dealing in a not in a linear way with her suffering. And so it was a story of a woman actually between sickness and suffering. I thought that the border was really thin. I thought that the black holes and the white holes was a great sort of more of a vision than an image. To explain the trajectory of the character. I certainly connected very well and very much with the pain of the abandoned, to which in some degrees I feel that each one of us has dealt somehow in his own life. So I can't explain black holes and white holes if that's what you're asking me.
No. Do you? One second. Do you? What was difficult? Was there something you felt? It comes from Europe. These are messages from Italy. Was there something difficult where you felt how do I do that best, or did you feel it has kind of a universal?
No, I certainly felt it was universal. There's a way of looking at things and translating them into stories that certainly European. I can't even explain it, and that probably it becomes a genre. But that's also what you're interested in doing here at the Martin Segal. But in terms of the theme, I totally think that's universal. And Elisa writes in a way that's so, if you'll allow me to say that, so unspecific that it becomes very much specific, very much universal. So the only Italian, I feel that the only Italian reference are really the names of the characters. The rest could be, and maybe Paris, that sounds so close to where they actually are, but you don't say anything about the cities, you don't say even anything about the PhD or what they study. It's very open and universal, and that's a gift, if you want to do it in New York, for example.
Thank you. Graziano, you have been part of the Italian theater scene. You formed it and observe it now. You write about it. Where does her work fit into the Italian contemporary scene of playwriting, la drammaturgia italiana?
I try to answer in English. It's a little bit not. I don't think it's a typical writing. The Elisa's writing, because she came back from, she's a writer, she writes novel, basically, and this one, it was the first thing you wrote for theater, or the second one? The second one. And with this second, shot, she won the most important prize, Premio Riccione in 2015, and I was in the jury, and I clearly remember that we are talking about the play that convinced all of us. We were 10 in the jury, and but we were discussing a lot because we were feeling something different. At the beginning we were scared because we say, okay, this is science fiction, it cannot work on the stage. This is the first impression. It cannot work as too, fantasy, because our scene normally is very, very, very realistic or symbolic, but talking about language, not talking about what the situation. So at the beginning we were like with no orientation in exploring the play, but every one of us was convinced that it was the best we read at that point. So we started look at the play in a different way, and to understand that this scientific background is a kind of symbol, it's a kind of weapon she used to explain what is the suffering of the people. That is totally a normal way to to feel about the story, to look at the story of the character. 95% of people in Italy that work in theater, even in literature, has a humanistic background, as Marco say. Now they don't know. Everybody of us know very few things about science. So when you have a writer that knows something about science, you can feel it, and you feel something different in what we like about the play. I think she connected with a strong tradition we have in Italy. We have a very strong writer that have a scientific background. Gadda, first of all, but even Primo Levi, that we celebrate the century of the birth of Primo Levi just this year. And it is very important for us because it's our right that tell about Shoah, that came back from Auschwitz, and try not only the memory but even the language to say that one. And I think that this writer that are so few guys in panorama, in the landscape of writing in Italy, that have a scientific background, they do a special work with language. They are very, we love to use words, sometimes too much. This writer with a scientific background, they are specific. They find a word, they use the word, and that's it. And that's why we give the award to this play.
Did you see the Italian production?
No, they didn't. They are still doesn't exist. Yeah. She has a problem with the first production that failed, and now there's another production that coming to. I think in 2020. No. Yeah, maybe. Let's see. He got a little problem with the production, but they start a new one with a very interesting female director. You have not a female word to say director. No, yeah. Okay. And that actually Georgina P, she worked a lot with English literature. Now she's working with Kate Tempest and Carrie Churchill, of course. She worked a lot with Carrie Churchill. And I think it's, even this point of view is interesting because in a way, Elisa Casseri, it's a part of our, landscape, but in a way she's different. And I think this point of view, from a director that work a lot, especially with English plays, could be a match.
Yeah, thank you. I think also it's very innovative. It's precise, but still very, very open. And I think to draw the analogy to science, Bertolt Brecht wrote about the science of theater. He actually did say theater is a science. You can study it, has laws that as scientific as chemistry, like a Primo Levi. We all think it might be true, it might not be true. I think Will Eno famously said, I hope it's not the same, because if I have a scientist, they should have the very same exact measurements and results. It doesn't matter whether you're from China, from Mongolia, from Germany, but if you're an artist, we want to know where you're from. How do you see the world? What is the different approach? And it should be different, but the combination of both, and that's what it is, it's just a very beautiful, rare approach, and I think it's a great credit to Italian writing, this kind of formal innovation of a poetic, sparse approach, almost like the table, or periodic table, where you lined up things. But also for you, how do you see her work in Italian contemporary landscape? You produce a lot in Italy.
Yeah. I want to thanks the actor first of all, because I want to really thanks Alison, Teresa, Robert. Sorry.
So let's have a big applause.
Yeah.
On a long journey today.
And of course Marco, that is also a friend, but I want to thanks because it's not an easy reading, and of course it is a lot for us also to have their efforts. And this is my production vision also. I want to thank, first of all, everybody who works in the theater environment, because without them, my work doesn't mean nothing. So, this is connected also with your question. How do I feel the Italian? So, I have to say that I live in New York 6 years now. So I miss a lot. I miss in the sense of I don't see. And I left Italy while everything was changing very, very fast. And now I think something is almost changed.
Maybe,
Also seeing, for example, the Ubu Prize a couple of days ago, 2 days ago. Graziano from the Ubu Prize, from the radio came to New York in person. I was shocked, because he was presenting the Ubu Prize, but also seeing that the Riccione prizes and the Istrio prizes. We have something that is moving in the background. So dramaturgy and research goes together. We have some interesting spots in directions. Look by far from here. So Georgina Pirozzi, Georgina P, is one of them. It's very, very interesting for me to see how she is working on the international dramaturgy. And with with the actors that she has around, very professionals. So we have, when something is changing, in my position, you can see a little bit in advance what happened in the future. So when I decided to leave, I saw a gap in the future, and there was a gap because we had for 4 years a big gap in theater in Italy. Now, after this gap, I see something is little by little going up.
Graziano,
I don't know.
yeah.
Maybe Graziano can.
Can you say a little bit, also beyond the play, about the contemporary scene of the last 2-3 years? What's happening on Italian stages, if you can say? What do you detect? What are changes from before?
Yeah, I'm agree with Valeria, just asking if this changing has happened because some guys have died and some places are free, because we have not a strong tradition of renovating places like apically. No, Franco Quadri. Franco Quadri was a very peculiar guy, but it was very good one. No, I mean people in charge in the public theaters. Sometimes they stay there for 40 years, a little bit too much. Well, I think that now we start to have a contemporary tradition of dramaturgy that we lost a little bit after the 80s, because the last big writer in Italy was Eduardo from Napoli tradition. It was connected with a peculiar kind of theater, because it came from a vernacular theater from Napoli that it's a strong tradition, and it came universal in a way. But he died in '84, I think, and that's all. After that, we have for 30 years like 2 words. The main production about Shakespeare, Ibsen, Pirandello, of course, and the research theater, experimental theater. It was just rejecting the new writers, the dramaturgy. So the writers doesn't know where to go. In the last 15 years, I think it was a connection between the writers and the experimental theater. That it's not more such experimental, I think, but this marriage start to give some fruits, some new burn kind of artist, and I think that we start to have, you know, a good tradition in the last 10 years, especially of writers. Some of them, of course, you know, because Fausto Paramedino, Lucia Calamaro are one of the most well-known, and we have, you know, we have a week project about publishing theater, and now one of the most important, I mean, the most important editor, publishing house is Einaudi, start to publish Lucia Calamaro, of course, Paravidino, all this, you know, most known, Davide Carnevali, it's another guy, that, Stefano Massini, of course. And so we are searching for a different public. 10 years ago, this guy was known just by the audience that goes to theater. Now there's another kind of audience for this kind of theater. It's more, you know, coming from all the citizenship. I mean, people that follow cinema, or just people that read books, like The Word, from which Elisa came. And this is, I think this is important. It's a kind of growth of our tradition. And of course, there's another kind of theater, is more experimental, that start to be more comprehensible. I mean, like 20 years ago, there was a vogue of not being comprehensible. But now, I think that the artists in the last 10 years feel a pressure of being politics, not in, I mean, to choose, you know, a party or a vision of the world, to be part of a polis, you know. They feel responsibility to dialogue with the audience, so they have to be comprehensible because they need to start a dialogue. And this kind of theater, I think, start to have a bigger audience because of this approach, and I think it's good.
Can I add something?
Short. Yes, short.
Something? Yeah, short. We have a landscape in our 3 books, because the first edition was mostly a devised theater. So dramaturgy written by the actors, directors, and producer of the same play. So it was the case of Lucia Calamaro, Fausto Paravidino, Michele Santeramo, and Daria De Floriano.
It was our tradition, because nobody used the text of, you know.
Yeah.
If
This edition we have mostly authors, because the work of Elisa Casseri is waiting to be produced. Armando Pirozzi is a playwright, not actor, not director at the moment, and his play was produced by Teatro Metastasio. Then we have no, Sinisi was in the first edition. This edition we have Giuliana Musso, and this is the only example of like devised theater, because she wrote for herself. And then we have Fabrizio Sinisi, that with the play the great work, he was just dramaturg, playwright, and then his work is mostly to be a dramaturg. So he works with Massini, with important companies in Italy, as Lombardi Tiezzi, that also produced this play, The Great Walk. So the landscape is very explained by the difference between the first edition and the second edition. And so it is very interesting to see how it's changed also this. And then I just, the last thing, I have, I think, a great responsibility is also of Premio Riccione, because Premio Riccione is open to the playwriting, not to the shows. Every other award in Italy, Istrio and Ubu, are mostly directed to the shows and then the playwriting. But Riccione read the plays, and after that also help the plays to be produced. And
Give money to it, yeah.
yeah, they have a prize for production.
Yeah.
So it is a switch very, very important, and it is why I am very glad that they are connected with our project.
Thank you. Lisa, a question for you.
Sorry.
You can take it, don't worry.
No, it's my son. He's not watching the streaming.
Maybe he's watching you and saying,
No, he's not.
So, Elisa, a question. You write novels, but sometimes you write for theater. Why do you write for theater? Why do you feel you can express some things in theater better than novels?
Allora, come dicevo prima, io credo molto nelle forme della scrittura.
As I was telling before, I believe a lot in the writing forms.
E credo che sia la storia che ti chiede che tipo di mezzo devi utilizzare.
So it is the story that asks you what kind of path you need to use.
E per quanto riguarda la mia visione del teatro, io mi sono resa conto che uso il teatro quando voglio rappresentare quello che succede all'interno della testa di una persona.
In my choice, theater was the path I choose to explain what happened inside the mind and the soul of a person.
So che sembra un paradosso, perché in realtà il teatro è quando tu metti invece in scena le persone e non, no? La letteratura è molto più mentale.
It could be in appearance a paradox, because theater shows the external way of the life of a person, and literature is mostly an introspective way.
E invece per quanto mi riguarda è come se riuscissi attraverso queste persone vive sulla scena a rappresentare qualcosa di estremamente interno.
And in my case, I need these live people on the stage to represent what I live inside my mind.
Wonderful. I think it was, we really did see real people and talking together, but we also had voices, I think, from your mind or from the universe and black holes. So maybe, Michael, if you can help us put some light up on the audience, we take a couple of questions. It was such an interesting, good discussion. We went a little bit, almost close to time, and so whoever has a question, maybe you let us know. But maybe one of the actors, would you, if someone wants to say a few words of how it felt, or to speak that? Yeah.
I did a little research on the black holes and watched a documentary, part of a documentary on Netflix, and I'm not scientific as you are, Marco, as you say, but the stars that destroy, I mean, they kind of create black holes, what I understand. So for me as an actor, I connected with, for instance, people in our lives that pass away, or they take actions and they do things such as that, and they create. I know my sister, she lost my nephew to substance abuse, and it's created something inside of her that there's an emptiness. So, I mean, but it doesn't go away. I mean, the memories remain. And then I was watching Stephen Hawking, and he was talking about the hairs, the event horizon, that although things get sucked into the black holes, they still don't ever go away, that they remain on the edges. So it was just abstract and interesting that, you know, people in our lives, especially Olga, the people who left, her mom left, created this, and perhaps in my life, prior, something happened as Franco, but yeah, I mean, it's just interesting, the whole theory of how I can relate to that as an actor, as a human.
Anybody? Yeah.
For me, it was really interesting to connect with her journey from the franticness of not knowing and not understanding the things that have happened to her, and We talked about her being in her head a lot and trying to comprehend feeling can be really challenging. And then it was that journey until the resolve of, at the end, they're all still with her, even though everyone has left her. And it's like coming to terms with that. But it was a really powerful journey of that for me. And then to understand the connections with her parents as well as with Marco and how that shapes who she is. And that relating that to the time-space continuum was just such a beautiful and poetic way of doing it, I think. Yeah.
Thank you very much. So, anybody, a question or comment? I'm going to give you the mic, not only so we hear you, but it's also live streamed all around. Nationally, we our viewers.
My question is, most of the writers, they write something from their life. So these characters, how much is from your life and how much is imagination?
Sì, io principalmente sono una scrittrice di fiction, quindi in realtà non c'è mai niente che viene dalla mia vita.
In my life, I write fiction, so anything is outside my life.
Però in realtà non c'è niente nella fiction che non faccia parte della tua vita.
But in the same time, there is everything in the fiction that is part of my life.
E quindi la fiction diventa la maniera in cui filtri tutto quello che non solo hai provato tu, ma che hai sentito che gli altri provavano.
So is like a melting pot filter that report what I feel and what I think the other people feels.
Io credo che la scrittura abbia a che fare con un profondo sentimento di empatia e sensibilità che fa sì che lo scrittore è come una spugna.
In my role of a writer, I try to be a sponge to attract and give back while I write what I feel from the outside.
E quindi, come succede spesso agli scrittori, scrivi qualcosa che poi ti succede.
So, as usual happens to the writers, you write and then after something happens.
Non so, prebiografia, prefiction, non so come si può chiamare.
It's like to read in the future.
Okay. Another question, also comment.
I don't know. I'm going to mumble on here, I think, a little bit. But my thought is, first of all, I loved the idea of the doors opening. Just I found it would be a very interesting play to direct and to try to figure out the doors and the movement of the furniture. So I think it's very theatrical, and that's important. And I loved what you did with just turning the music stands. I thought that was very effective. Somehow or other, I find there's, you mentioned Lucia Calamaro, and as you know, I was very involved with the translation of that. And it's wonderful to see female writers using science, and of course Lucia goes into great depths about all kinds of psychology and many aspects of thought. And I just really found it very interesting that you, as a female writer, were using these scientific images, and I wish that we would see more of that in writing today.
Wonderful, thank you, Jane. Maybe Marco has a question. Could you see this on the stage, on a New York stage, or would you could you see this directed on stage? Would New York audiences come? Can you take your mic? Yeah.
I would see it more directly on stage than for a reading. It was very hard.
Very hard, yes, yeah. You did a great job.
It's full, as it should be, full of stage directions and all these doors coming in, many different kind of doors, they all come in and out. It was like, so, but to make it interesting and fluid for you, tonight we had to make a selection and also, no, I mean, for us, really, the point was to go to the essence of the play, to the essence of the characters, to the theme, to go straight to the core of the play. And so, I think it would be extremely fun, as you just said, to stage it. Yeah, totally. I mean, you will. I think Robert today, because we just rehearsed a bunch of hours today, and he said, "Oh, this play is it's like a jazz session," and it's true. It's written sort of that way because it's sort of a dance, but it's an unpredictable dance, and as probably is in the space, in the universe, it's like very unpredictable what happens there, and so these doors, and so the movement, the coming back and forth in time and space. Yes, I would see that. And as I said before, it's very universal and it can totally work here, I guess.
Thank you. Maybe one more? Yeah.
I would like to agree with Marco, because while I was listening to it, I was thinking how wonderful it would be on the stage, because I also read a lot of science books, even though I'm not a scientist, but a writer. And I wrote myself a play not about personal things, but about something else that has to deal with physics. And I think that more I read about physics, the more I feel that the analogy between feelings and unconscious and memory and time in the laws of physics are so the same as our own inner beings and our structure as people, as human beings. I mean, there is a complete allegory, not even an allegory, a similitude, a similarity, an analogy that is similar. I don't know if you think that, but I feel that on the stage it would be great.
Yeah.
Quando mai accadrà?
Really too.
We too, we wait.
So we're a little bit over time and we're going to have a reception here. I think the Italian Playwrights Project also did a little magic trick and brought a gigantic panettone and a little bit of spumante for us, for thanking you
thanks
for
to
coming out.
Bindi, because we have a friend that is Bindi that give us a panettone, a real panettone.
But so
this
stay
is
here.
Holidays.
So as a reward for fighting the big snowstorm. But before we come to an end, maybe let us know what are you working on a novel, but also as a play, if you want to share. What are the projects you are working on right now?
Ok, innanzitutto volevo dire all'ultima signora che ha parlato che anche le altre cose che faccio sono basate su un'analogia tra scienza e letteratura.
Everything I wrote is. Yeah, but the audience not. I'm sorry. Me too, I am Italian. And you can listen, I am Italian. So everything I write is connected between science and narrative.
I would like to ask to Elisa to tell to the audience the title of your opera, I mean of your novel and of your plays, because the title says everything.
My first book, Teoria idraulica delle famiglie.
Hydraulic theory of the families. The first book.
The second, La botanica delle bugie.
And the second is the botanic of lies.
L'orizzonte degli eventi fa parte di una trilogia antologica.
Event Horizon is a part of a trilogy, anthologic trilogy.
Il primo testo si chiama La teoria dei giochi.
The first play is the theory of the plays, of the games.
Ispirata alla teoria dei giochi di John Nash.
Inspired by John Nash.
Poi l'orizzonte degli eventi sui buchi neri, e poi la terza, mi dispiace.
Event Horizon about the black holes, and then
la terza si chiama Il polo dell'inaccessibilità.
Il polo dell'inaccessibilità.
The chicken? Oh?
No, polo is the pole. North Pole, yeah.
Oh, the pole, okay. I'm glad we have real translators.
Allora, è un punto statistico
Is a statistic point.
che è in mezzo all'Oceano Atlantico
It is in the middle of Atlantic Ocean.
e che è il punto più lontano da tutte le terre emerse.
That is the farthest point of
From every land.
every land. Yes.
E quindi se una nave passa sopra quel punto è più vicina alla Stazione Spaziale Internazionale che qualsiasi altra cosa.
So if a ship goes pass on this point, is mostly closer to the what?
International Space
International
Station.
spaceship than to the land.
E questo testo è un testo che parla di energia oscura e materia oscura.
So this play is about
Dark matter.
energy and dark matter.
Perché parla così di una geografia astronomica, una geografia terrestre e una geografia emotiva.
Speaking about geography in a lot of sense. Astronomic, terrestre,
Oh, earthly, of the earth.
earthly, and sentimental.
I want to say just another thing, very slowly. One about scientific background, because at the beginning I say people with scientific background, they use language in a very specific way, but it's interesting, as you say, that scientific background can be a starting point to talk about emotion. It's more and more like this, and it's happening when we have a tradition of writers with scientific background that they are all male, and now in this last year the scientific writers are female, because there's for example Chiara Valerio, that is a novelist, Elisa Casseri is a novelist and playwright, and I think something changing a little bit even from this point of view, and it just female writers with background, scientific background, it's a kind of new thing in Italy. As like in the Ubu Award yesterday, we have the second female director winning the prize for direction in 42 years. I don't know what happened.
It's about time.
Yeah, it's about time. So I think this is another thing we have to say about the writing of Elisa Casseri.
And then maybe
this
it's
is not the Ferrante.
No, but it's the very last thing. What's your next play? What is your next theater play you're working on? Do you have one you're thinking about?
Un altro testo?
What are you working on at the moment?
Per ora no, perché ho appena fatto un lavoro su il delitto del Circeo, che è un delitto molto famoso in Italia.
At the time not, because I just finished a work about the murder of Ciceo. There's a very tough story of the crime in Italy.
E sto scrivendo 2 libri nuovi.
And I am also writing 2 new books.
E una serie televisiva.
And one TV show.
Well, I'm glad you had time to come to New York City. That's amazing. So, thank you so much for coming. Thanks to Marco and the actors. Graziano from lighting, to Carlos and Valerio. Thank you. And join us all for the reception. Now, stay here. Thank you.
Can we make a photo together?
Yes, of course.
Classic photos. Can we make a photo together?
And we will bring the books from the Italian Playwrights Spectre, the second edition, out for a special price, $10 instead of $30.
Oh, okay.
Please, can we do a photo together? Just a moment. Can we have a photo together? Thank you. And Frank. Come on, Mom. Do you want to do the photo with the panettone?
Where's the table?
There is no table.
Wow.
Panettone.
Oh, that's nice. That later, but let's take a photo. Yes, okay, good.
Fammi stare qua in mezzo.
Where are we looking?
Here.
Okay.
Look at this one.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Can you read? I translate something. I can read myself.
Good question.
Io l'ho preso. Non so. Visto in foto della Rossetto. Non so, sono particolarmente stanco questi giorni. Francesco, Giuliana, italiani.
Siamo
rimani per il panettone? Sì, rimango per il panettone. Io non l'ho fatto. Sei incasinato. Questa settimana è un po'.
Se poi potenziamo
quelle cose che ne dozzo non conosco molto bene perché però no, questo lo sta fare. Dice che aiutano è successo sempre anche a me, quindi è una cosa fragilissima. No, perché all'inizio alla prima volta appena li usati li mettevo già vedi se rompono quando sono piccoli. Ok. E quindi mi è arrivato il diagnostico proprio sempre successo. Ma figurati, no, io non sapevo, mi hanno detto fai una cosa, non sapevo neanche cosa avessi. Salute caro. Congratulations.
$10 instead of
Certo, ora sì.
$30. Tonight only $10. Undocumented price.
Voleva fare la festa.
C'è tanto casino, io dico tutto a tutti, venite a casa,
È vero, sì, me l'avevi detto, Era giusto secondo me si credeva proprio, secondo me già un po' si credeva, però insomma, perché è molto visibile.
Ci vuole di settembre per digerire la drammaturgia.
Sì, devo dire di sì. Siamo dedicati veramente sulle parole, sul seguire il testo.
Anche perché è un ritmo.
No, perché poi insomma un partismo, ok? Mettiamo i suoni, gli effetti sonori, le alle 4 ore, in 4 ore si sente l'autore.
Sì, io non l'ho mai visto ancora. Sfortunatamente. No, te lo dico. Penso che l'ho anche intervistato, però
L'ho messo a scattare il connettore. L'ho messo a scattare. Io appena ho visto ho detto, non era tanto ora no, era stato intento.
no, ma tra l'altro non... cioè, se me l'avessi chiesto... l'avrei fatto
Infatti io per un po' impiperito, perché pensavo di trovare uno stato. Ho visto
però fa parte, tu sai che questa cosa fa parte del mio karma.
So everybody have a drink, have a piece of cake.
Questa predisposizione
l'altra festa in cui siamo stati, che è successo?
the same thing.
Ma scusami, ma io voglio diventare più forte, lo so, ma noi siamo rimasti in contatto, mi scrivi,
Mi adori.
no, ma a parte gli scherzi. Grazie, Francesca, che bello vedere. Ce l'ho laggiù, prendi un momento che non se lo do fare. Un po' te lo fa.
Ce l'hai a memoria?
Sì. 917 ci danno un messaggino. Vai. Io sono appena rientrato da un po', ero stato in tutti durante le feste, perché tutti, dopo sono a gennaio, sono qui.